Fine. Okay. Hi, Facebook. Look who we got here. You've seen him on TV doing commentary. On the radio, you've heard him. He has a daily podcast with Don Saunders called Getting Through This. Yeah, we've got Scott Blakeman. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Linda. Great to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. My goodness sakes, my New York buddies. I love all of you. I miss New York.
I have fond memories when I met you at the comic strip with Gladys Simon, and it's a fun place, and hopefully, when the time is right and it's safe, it'll all start up again.
Yes. So you're in the thick of things. You live in Brooklyn. You work in probably Manhattan.
Well, I've been home really now since March 13th. I mean, I kind of got a sense around then that, maybe March 12th was the last time I was in Manhattan. I was on the subway, and at that point, we knew some things, but I just thought, I don't want to be in crowded places. I don't think I'm going to be on the subway, so I kind of started it a little before the official, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. And but I'm lucky that right now I live in Manhattan Beach in Brooklyn, which is near the ocean and the bay. So every day I get to have these really nice walks that I appreciate. And in the beginning, I was going to stores, and now I'm the king of delivery. And if anybody needs any hints on that, I can provide that. So and I'm getting my masks tomorrow.
You're getting your what?
Socially distancing. Well, masks, because here you have to wear a mask all the time. Unless if you take a walk where you're not around people, it's okay. But I'm going to get them tomorrow. That'll be a new thing.
Yeah, what a weird world we're living in when South Korea gives us masks and other countries.
Well, every other country seems to have figured it out better than we have. But it's definitely a strange time. A good friend of mine, he said if anybody tried to pitch this, nobody would believe it. So, we just have to, as the name of our podcast is Getting Through This, and that's what we're all trying to do. And, you and I, Linda, and comedians in general, we have that survival instinct through laughter and comedy, and that's what, hopefully, everybody can have some of that. Thanks to your show.
Thank you. You know what got me started doing this is I was so damn depressed. When it hit, I was like, my God. And then I thought, the only way out of this is to get my eyes on other people. If I'm upset, others are. So let me start calling them and asking if they want to talk. And everybody said yes.
Well, people, it's hard for people. I mean, everybody would want to work with you, but it's hard
Thank
these
you.
days to give excuses like, I don't know, Thursday's bad for me, except the actual people who work from home, those people, but no one says anymore, who's calling on a Sunday? I mean, and who knows what day it is, too. That's the thing. I always take a couple minutes when I wake up going, okay, 21st, that was yesterday, so it takes a little while, but we're used to, I think, most comedians, creative people, we tend to spend a lot of time at home anyway, so in some ways it's not a huge stretch.
That's true.
This, but, except we don't have a place to go at night to perform, but we get to do things like this.
Yes, it's so important that we keep our, our comedy voice tuned up, if this helps me to banter with people, and once in a while I throw in some surprise punchline that even I didn't know I was going to say. So it's good for my improv, I guess,
Oh, absolutely. And comedians are starting to do it more and more, and just putting shows online, and some people are raising money for various causes. So it's really, we've had this technology, but we never thought to really use it as much because we go, okay, I'll see you tonight at the comic strip or wherever. So it is great that it's here, and it's really, I was saying to my friend Tom during our podcast, can you imagine during 1918 when they had the last pandemic, they didn't even have radio. So I don't know what they did. They wrote letters with a quill pen or so we're so lucky that, we're not lucky that we have to go through this, but that, in fact, there's too many things to do. Like my friend said, did you watch such a show on Netflix? No, I didn't get to it yet. I'm sorry. I promise I will. So there's so much to do. There's so much technology, and So that makes it easier, to get through it.
Yes. I remember when our parents used to send us to our rooms and they would leave us to our own devices. And now we really literally have devices in our rooms. So,
Exactly. Yeah, I wonder what they meant by that expression before there were devices. And now, yeah, like you say, there's plenty of devices.
yeah, even devices is divisive.
That's true. Well, everything is these days, yeah. And but it's funny what you can do. I mean, I even before this, I do, like you said, political commentary, and I come from a liberal point of view, but I've done a lot of stuff on conservative news networks. And for the last, well, I guess since February, I've been on every Tuesday on Newsmax, usually 9:10 and 10:10. And that's an interesting experience. And I love keeping up with the news anyway, so it's fun to kind of get it out. But I mean, literally, I'm in my bedroom now, so my bed is a few feet over, and I'm sitting in the spot where I do it for Newsmax. So I put on a jacket and tie, and I walk 2 feet, and I sit down, and so it's get kind of lazy. It's sort of like, why do I have to go into a studio? So
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people aren't going to go into studios. They figured it out. A lot of the news anchors. The technology is so good you can't tell, but Lester Holtz in his apartment in Lower Manhattan, all these people and you can't tell. So I think a lot more people are going to be working from home when this thing is over too.
Yes. And like God bless Al Roker, he started at McDonald's wasn't he the first Ronald?
Oh, was he? I didn't know that.
I think he was. And,
Yeah.
and then now he gets to...
He was at the Friars Club, which is also not open at the moment. A few years ago, we did a tribute to Al Roker, and I got to perform, and so that was a real thrill. And he said nice things, and he signed a copy of his book for me. So he's a really sweet guy. Another Brooklyn boy, Al Roker.
Oh my gosh. There's so many great Brooklyn artists, in music and like Barbara Walters, Neil Diamond, who else?
Oh, Barry Manilow, Neil, like you said, Neil Stock, Neil Diamond, Neil Stock, Carole King, I think probably was, and tons of people music. And yeah, the comedy, just tons of people. I mean, Chris Rock, me, that's basically it. But no, tons of Colin Quinn and
Wow.
so many great people. So and it's so diverse, Brooklyn. You walk on one avenue, Coney Island Avenue, for 20 minutes, and you pass by every conceivable nationality all on one street. But everybody, gets along. Probably within the houses now, some houses aren't getting along, but everybody else gets along.
Yes. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you is being a news anchor and doing comedy. Does that ever make you feel like you're pulled apart? I mean, your podcast, no, because you can be funny there, right?
Right.
It's a comedy based.
Yeah.
But the news.
Well, I do. I'm not a news anchor, but doing the commentary on TV is. Yeah, I've done it before, and obviously as a comedian, if there's any way to get something semi-humorous, then I try. Of course, everything is so rightfully serious.
Yes.
Now, I think that, I don't know if the people pick this up, but I think even a comedian being serious is more entertaining than a serious person being serious. So, and I think we have a way of looking at things. I have to say, though, you need a sense of humor. This is kind of new for me because I have friends like John Fugelsang or Dino Vidala who, are on the radio every night. They're used to getting hundreds, thousands of mean texts and messages, and they fight people, and I admire that. For me, I've gotten a few here and there. This is somehow the last week or two, I get a lot. They retweet some of my video, so they post it, so I get all these mean tweets. Literally one guy said, when I said, I hope you die of COVID. This is for saying nothing, for just giving my opinion. So it's, look, they're crazy people, and I'm just too sensitive, though. These other guys who rolls off them, I go, why would they say that? Or it's just these irrational things. If someone wrote, gee, I disagree with what you said about immigration. Fine. These people, it's always mean. It's always, you're undesirable, you're this. And so it's hard to look at that kind of stuff, and I don't know where it comes from, but, and I just try to focus on the nice people like you, and most of the world is nice. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the toughest part, I guess. And again, I don't get a lot of them, but every single one of them sticks to me when you read it. So
Yes.
it's an occupational hazard, I guess.
Yeah, I'm an artist, and like things don't roll off my back like I wish they would, like if I send out a message and don't get a reply within like 3 days, I'm like, what did I do wrong? Why? What could I do better?
And it's funny because with comedy, I've never, people always who don't know about comedy, they think every night you're being heckled, and it's pretty rare, and truthfully, it's never the kind of heckling you wish it was. Like in the movies, it's like, hey, why don't you quit your date? I mean, nobody says that. It's always a bachelorette party talking in the corner, something, But I've had so few negative experiences in my whole career with heckling, and I can't think of any that really got to me, but these emails or messages from these people, and it's irrational, it's totally crazy, but it's still, it still gets you a little bit. But I like being on TV. It's fun to read a little bit, and not like I'm an expert on anything, but I actually, unlike most of the people I debate, I read the newspaper, I keep up with the news, and I just try to give people the facts. I'm not an expert, but I say, the doctors, the scientists say this, but here's a fact, and then they still don't believe me, but it's okay.
Yes. So what is it about you that made you decide to do comedy? Like, when was that moment that you knew, or did people first start telling you should?
I think the moment that I realized it when I was in Hebrew school, which is probably the great training ground for comedians, even non-Jewish comedians, for some reason, Hebrew school is a good training ground. I remember I was in Hebrew school, and the teacher was talking about a character in Jewish history called Philo. And I remember the time there was a TV show, Soupy Sales had a show. It was local for a while in New York, and he had a character named Philo Kvetch. I remember. And so my teacher said, Philo, from history, and I'm thinking to myself, if I say Philo Kvetch, the whole room will crack up and the teacher will kick me out. So I had a second, then my high-pitched Brooklyn accent, I said, Philo Kvetch, and the whole room cracked up, and he said, leave the room. So that was the moment where I said, I'm going to go for the laugh, and, I got back in the room eventually, but so that's where it started, I think.
Yes. So your family, were they really supportive when you went down the comedy aisle?
Well, my parents were very funny people in general and very supportive people. I think naturally, especially when I started out, 40 years ago, I hate to say it, it wasn't like it is today where everybody knows a comedian. It was not really something that, a nice Jewish boy necessarily went into, even though everybody was Jewish. Really, all the old Catskill guys were Jewish. And I started out, Jerry Seinfeld was the MC when I passed auditions at the comic strip. So in those days, it really was a bunch of Jewish guys and a couple of women, a few women, great women like Nancy Parker and the late Abby Stein and the late Adrian Tullich, and great people. So it was, now I forgot even what the question was, but it was, it was a fun thing, but it was definitely not something that everybody thought was something you would do. But once, I remember the turning point for my parents, I was opening for Jerry Seinfeld at Caroline's, the original Caroline's on 8th Avenue and 26th, I believe. And that night, I did great, and it was, big crowd, and I think it sunk in that night. And that was like basically 2 years in from 2 or 3 years in from when I was doing it regularly. So, they was always supportive, but that night they thought, I guess he could do this. So, and they were great, and they came to shows. I never forget, I had the pleasure of interviewing Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira at the 92nd Street Y, and they were both there in the audience, my parents, and so that was a highlight. When I did the David Brenner show years ago, they came to the show and got to meet David Brenner, got to meet Tony Curtis.
What?
Yes, also. So, these are the things that I'm just so thankful for, that I've gotten to experience it, and that my parents were there too.
That's so cool. I'm a huge fan of David Brenner's. Huge fan. What was he like?
Well, he was great. He had a show, I guess it was 19, going back in 1987, and I used to live on, at the time, I think I lived on 88th Street between York and First Avenue on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and the studio was on 76th and York Avenue. So I just walked over there and did the show, and I remember he had a beautiful makeup woman, and she leaned up, I performed, and I sat down, and on the panel she gave me makeup and said, "You were very funny." I mean, this is what I remember. This is what guys remember from all these years later. The makeup woman said I was very funny. But it was fun, a lot of fun, and David Brenner had a star for you to stand on, and he was very, very nice and really sweet, and it was great. And I got to be on with my comedy idol Robert Klein twice on the USA Network, Robert Klein time, and then I got to work with Robert a lot since then over the years, opening for HBO specials and other shows. So that's always been, it's great when somebody you look up to in comedy actually thinks you're funny too and is a nice person, and you get to know them. So that's been a thrill too.
Wow. One time about 20 years ago, I was living in Vegas and I stood at the Golden Nugget at the VIP booth. And there was a loop playing on this TV VCR combo of David Brenner doing his act that was playing in the room, but I didn't want to pay the money. I wanted to watch it for free. And so I'm watching it like 7 times in a row. All of a sudden, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "How do you like that guy on the screen?" It was David Brenner.
Oh, really? Wow.
That was really cool.
That's funny. That's great.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that, So where did you start out doing comedy? Was it in New York or?
Before New York, I was born and raised in Portland, and I went to college, the military, got married, had a child. She's an adult on her own, definitely now. And so when I became an empty nester, all of a sudden, I went to comedy, and I had been living in a place called Murrieta, California. So I started at Aces with Rocky Osborne. Started doing military comedy in 3 counties, and then went back home for 3 or 4 years at Harvey's Comedy Club. Came to New York to see Gladys a couple times, et cetera, and the New York gang. And now I'm here.
Oh, that's great. It's fun. And, comedians, there's a nice kind of camaraderie. Even if you meet someone once or twice, it's an instant connection that comedians have. And it's great, Facebook and all that. I mean, just reconnecting with people and seeing what people are up to. And it doesn't seem like all the years that I've been mentioning, it doesn't feel that long. And so, but it's
wow.
Nice having that community.
Yeah, 40 years, my gosh. What kind of secrets would you give to new comics that want a participation trophy for showing up and to know all the shortcuts?
Well, it's changed a lot. I mean, since when I started out, there were many less opportunities. There were only a handful of clubs, and you had to audition to become a regular. There was no bringer shows. I mean, that's been a phenomenon for the last several years. So that didn't exist. So in a way, it was easier in the sense you didn't have to have a lot of friends to make them go, but there were less clubs. I think it's great that there are a lot of opportunities now, and I teach a stand-up workshop. In fact, I'm starting a new one online tomorrow night, and I do private coaching, and right after this I'm doing that. But again, I don't say I'm the expert. All I can say is you have to be true to yourself. Talk about what you want to talk about. Not, we have the tendency to watch a famous comedian and go, "Well, they're getting laughs. I'm going to do what they're doing," and they're doing it already. So you got to do your own thing. And what I always say is, if you do what you really want to do, and one night it doesn't work, at least you could say, "Well, at least I did what I wanted to do." But if you try to be someone you're not, and then it doesn't go off in one night, then you have nothing to fall back on. So, and it's not like it happens in a day or a week or a year coming up with who you are. And for me, it just keeps changing. Like, I didn't always do political comedy. It took me a while to get the confidence to do that. And every situation is different. And to do a mixture of bringer shows, open mics, meet comics, try to find out what they're doing, find out about bar shows, all that. But, as everybody says, the key is just doing it as much as you can.
Yes.
Wherever, even if it's 3 people somewhere, just do it. And then you could say, hey, I did it for 3 people in a laundromat, or where they do have comedy, and basically they have comedy everywhere, I think. So
yeah,
do it as much as you can, wherever you can. It's the best thing.
I love that. So you teach comedy. Where can people sign up for your comedy coaching or classes?
Well, they can find me. If they want to email me, it's Scott Blakeman at Gmail, and find me on Facebook. And if they want to email me, there may be room possibly for the new class, and if not, I'll let them know when the others are going to be. And like I said, I do wherever you live. I do one-on-one coaching online and group classes online, and even just comics who want to. I work with comics who will email me some material, and I'll work on it and make suggestions, and we'll talk on the phone, and I do that too. So I would come to your house, but not now. As this is over, I'll come to your house.
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
So what advice do you have for people? Sometimes comics look at this, and sometimes just normal people that aren't comics are normal. So what would you say to people how to hang in there right now when the world seems like Dr. Seuss is upside down town?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's when they need us the most, really, and I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, comedy is never going out of style. No one's ever going to say we don't need comedy. I've read an article in the New York Times how a lot of online shows are getting hundreds more people than they ever would in the club where they do the show, because it's people around the world, and comedy is global, and that's an exciting thing that people could be watching us anywhere in the world, and that goes for everything. So just hang in there, and really for us, having a sense of humor is what helps us get through these crazy situations, and you have to have a sense of humor to get through it, and that's what I do on my podcast with Tom Saunders, Getting Through This. We talk about what's going on, but it's always finding what's funny and going off on things, and I think we're lucky that we have that ability to find just the things that get you through the day, and that's what comedy does.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for this interview. Is there anything that you want to say in terms of a bit or a joke or a riff or anything you want to perform or leave the people with?
This isn't funny, but just that you can find me at scottblakeman.com, and I'd love for you to message me. However, this way you can offset the mean messages from when I'm on Newsmax. So I guess that would be a nice thing.
Wonderful. Well, message him at scottblakeman.com or on Facebook, Scott Blakeman. And you can sign up for his classes. He's Scott Blakeman at Gmail.
Scott Blakeman at Gmail. You can just email me, and I'll keep up with that. And it's just so much fun. This is actually my first, I've been doing other things, but my first Zoom talk show during all this, so I'm glad.
Really?
With you, Linda.
Thank you so much. That's a real honor. That just sent a ping to my heart. Thank you so much, Scott Blakeman.
Well, stay safe and healthy, and I can't wait to see you in person.
Yes, same here. Thank you. Awesome, Scott. Bye.
Thank you, Linda.
Love
Bye.
you lots. Bye.